Hello students, welcome to Introduction to Educational Research 2017 August examination based presentation. We wish you all the best in your studies. Be motivated and be on track with your study course and achieve the qualifications you want. Anytime, any day, as long as it's not too much awkward in the midnight, you can contact me during the day, anytime, and then any day. I will be able, if you find me to be busy, I'll be able to come back to you once I'm done. You can contact me as your tutor marker at 081-24-290-74. And my phone is on the slides, it's on the presentation. As I said, I have to repeat my number again, 081-24-290-74. What I will do, actually, probably I should say what I'm not going to do. I'm not going in this presentation to give you all the questions that are coming in the examination. I will just give you a highlight of the upcoming August examination. Some of the questions you might expect, but not all of them. In the examination, you might be asked to define some of the terms in your module of Introduction to Educational Research. Some of the concepts or words that you might be asked to define, to give the definition, is research, research paradigm, qualitative research, quantitative research, reliability, validity, research methodology. I may ask you to define action research, surveys. What are surveys? When people in research context, when we are talking of literature review, I may ask you to give the definitions of those words. As I have indicated on this presentation, etc., etc. There are many words that we can be asked to define, so you should know all your definitions. We continue. Some of the other questions that you might be asked in the examinations is to give the characteristics of quantitative and qualitative research. So, what do we mean here? You have to know their characteristics, as I said, by elaborating how the following words are used in those two research designs. For example, you look at the scientific methods of qualitative and quantitative design. You can also elaborate or give the characteristics of these research designs by looking at their view of human behavior when people are involved in those type of research, those type of design, research design. How will you elaborate? How will you explain those two designs by looking at view of human behavior? You can look or explain by looking at most common research objectives of those two research designs, or their focus, their interest, nature of observation. Those are two different. When you will read in your guide, study guide, you will find out that those are two different research designs. You can also look at both designs. What are they saying on nature of reality? There is a nature of reality different from the other. How do we look at that? The form of data or information that we collect in qualitative research design, and the nature of data or information that we collect in quantitative research design. We can also look at how people analyzed the data in both research designs. How do we present our results? After we have done research, how do we present our results for any of these two or for both? The form of final report. How do we present our report now for qualitative research design, and how do we present our report in a quantitative research design? Other questions you might be asked to answer, I can also ask you to define the term data analysis. What is data analysis? And describe, you can't just stop there. by defining. After you define, I can ask you to describe different ways of data analysis according to qualitative and quantitative research designs. Another question that might come up, but I'm not saying these questions are coming up, you can be asked to examine the common purposes of research. Why do we need research? What are the purposes of research? And you can also give practical examples, because usually in research we have to back up whatever we are saying. If it's like this, why is it like this? You can also give practical examples. How can you carry out such a research in your own setting, in your own community? Practical examples from our community will accord you more marks. Another question that might come up is identify all the functions of literature review, or I can say identify some functions of literature review, or I can say identify 5 functions of literature review. What are we saying here? We are saying you have to know all of them. Then you will be on the safe side, definitely. Whether I will now ask 1 or 2 or 10 or all of them, you will know all the functions of literature review in research. Whatever we are saying, always know at the back of your mind that how do we apply this now in research? Because the module itself is Introduction to Educational Research. We are having many research types in different fields, in public health and all different fields, but our focus is in education. Another question that might come up is you can be asked to mention and discuss what critical reading is. In other books, they are talking of critical engagement. So you go through your guide or other research books, and you will now read what is critical reading. Because there are many types of reading. When you grab a newspaper, you do some reading, some type of reading. When you grab a novel, you do some type of reading. When you grab a science book, you do some good type of readings. But here we want to know what is critical reading or what is critical engagement. That one you should know. Another question might give you a scenario, or it might be approached from the story side, like telling a story. For example, as educators, because we are here now studying to become educators, right? As educators, we are mostly confronted with various challenges or problems in our educational institutions or schools, such as some of the challenges or problems that we might be faced with as educators are absenteeism among learners or among teachers. It can be both sides, or late coming of learners or of some teachers. Not of all learners, it can also be of some learners and of some teachers. Lack of discipline in our schools, school dropouts, which can be caused by many causes, etc. Those are just some of the few problems that we might be faced with in schools. The community, as the question continues, the community is always expecting educators or teachers to identify such problems, because we are the ones dealing with learners, we are the ones at schools. So the community are expecting teachers or educators to identify and search for the causes of these problems. How do we search for the causes of these problems? It's only through doing research. As you can see in the word research, there is a word search. You have to search for the causes of these problems now. The community also expects us to identify why and how these problems affect teaching and learning. What will the community expect from us as teachers now? They will expect us first to identify what problem is in this school, in our schools, and now search or do research for the causes. What is causing these problems? Why are the problems happening? And how these problems can affect teaching and learning in the schools? The community can also expect us to look at the well-being of the school. How are these problems affecting the well-being of the school and the community at large? Because the schools are in the community settings. The schools don't just, they are just not on themselves, on their own, they are in the community. Now these problems, some of these problems, how does it affect the schools? How does it affect teaching and learning? How are they affecting the community at large? Now the question, that is just a story. The question will come based on your understanding of research, because you are the one who's doing this module of educational introduction to educational research. Now, based on your understanding of what research is, write down the steps of doing a qualitative research. Or the question might come, write down the steps of doing a quantitative research. We can't just confine ourselves to one. The question can come in different ways. Research is a formal way of looking for information. Now there are steps. For example, you start with coming up with a topic or title, you write your introduction, you come to literature review, or before you go to literature review, there are objectives or statement of problem, then literature review, then research questions, and all these ones are in your study guide. You should know all the steps of doing or conducting a qualitative or quantitative research. You will now be asked, once you identify those steps, you have to illustrate ways in which the steps are used to write a proposal. Remember, it has to be a qualitative research, but now those steps, you only look at the steps that are needed when you are writing a proposal. And I've bolded that one. Okay, and it's very important before we go ahead to read the question with understanding. Some of the students will just read the first sentence, that they are afraid, they are pressed by time, and then they start answering. But you didn't answer the question. The question, what is needed, is at the end of the question. And then you will lose marks while you know the answers. Another question that might pop up, we are not saying these are the questions that are coming in. Describe the dimensions of research and give practical examples. What are the dimensions of research according to your books, and you give the practical examples how they can be conducted. Another question might be formulate. You might be asked to formulate an educational research problem. Come up now with the educational research problem. I've already indicated from the previous slide, I've already indicated some of the problems that might come, but at the school where you are, there might not be a problem of absenteeism, there might not be a problem of dropout, there might not be a problem of late coming or lack of discipline. There might be another problem. Now you have to identify that problem and you formulate that problem, which means you just come up with the research topics and then you identify the purposes and the roles of educational research now. Okay? Another question, what aspects should the researcher consider when designing a research questionnaire? Now, when you might have read in your study guide that when you are doing research, you are expected to go in the field, to go in the community, or to go in your school, wherever the problem might be. Probably if it's school dropout, you might want to interview the learners, teachers, and some of the parents, because dropouts among learners, these learners come from home. You might want to interview them over the telephone or to give them a questionnaire with questions that they will need to answer. Whether it's a questionnaire to be answered by learners, it's a questionnaire to be answered by teachers or by parents. Now, the question is asking, what aspects should the researcher, you as a researcher who want answers to this problem, what are the causes of this problem? When you are designing, when you are coming up with a questionnaire, what aspects do you consider? How should your questionnaire be? That is what the question is asking. Now, as we approaching the end of this presentation, I've just set out some important notes for you to take into consideration. You have to answer all the questions. The question paper is set in the sense that you have to answer all the questions. You will find some of the question papers which are not this one, where you will be asked to only choose 3 questions. Introduction to Educational Research paper, as it's set for August, you have to answer all the questions. You need to read widely. Don't confine yourself to this presentation. Don't confine yourself to your study guide only. You have to read widely, and if you find a book talking about or written about research, read and understand. It will just add to your knowledge, and then you will be able to score high marks. We do not show references in the examination. You will see in your assignment, you will see that I ask you where are the references, because when you are writing, there's a difference between writing an assignment and writing the examinations. When you are writing the examinations, you are sitting, when you are writing the assignment, you are sitting at home. You are having access to all the books, all the presentations. You are sitting with your study guide. In your study guide, there are references where the information is coming from. You are sitting at home or in the library, where you can go on Google and read, and you can now show your references. But now in the examinations, you sit in the hall, you don't have access to books, you will not even remember where you got this information. So you are not expected to show the references. Because some people will now, because they have lost marks for not showing references in the assignment, they will now want to remember the references. Please relax. We don't show references in the examination. You just need to remember the facts, the definitions, and so on. Okay? When you are revising and studying now for your examinations, because we all need to pass, use your study guide. As I said, don't confine yourself to one only. Use your assignments. Use all prescribed books, because in your study guide you will see we say these are the books to contact. If you can get hold of those books, they are in libraries. And now we've got community library, we've got universities, satellite campuses in our regions. Go there and find these prescribed books. Read or use the past assignments, maybe from 2014, 15, 16, 17. Those past assignments, you need them so that you refresh your mind on how questions can be asked. Use past examinations. If you contact IOL, I think there must be on your portal somewhere where you can get all the past examinations papers and past presentations. This is not the first presentations we are doing. For the past, I don't know how many years, we have been doing recording presentations to give guide to our students on what they might expect in the examination. Those past presentations, and I'm definitely sure they are on YouTube. Contact those past presentations. You'll never know. You might just, because what we want is for all of you to get 100% in your examinations, and you can do it, students. Don't doubt yourself. For that, I wish you all the best in the upcoming examinations.